That year, Jiang Hao's cousin Wang Kun suddenly returned to China and said he would take him to Thailand to make a fortune and become a tattoo artist. It is said that those women are willing to do anything for tattoos. Wang Kun told him that it is simply a paradise for women and a forbidden area for men. Once they fall into it, they can't extricate themselves. Men who have tried it can't stop. Go take off her skirt. My cousin took a puff of cigarette and began to direct me. The woman in front of me is a Thai woman with fair skin and a hot body. When she saw me approaching, she didn't hide, but cooperated very well and let me unbutton her skirt. The woman is very beautiful, and her legs under the skirt are slender and straight, which is also beautiful. This is the first time I have done this kind of thing. My cousin saw my embarrassment. He smiled and said to me in Chinese, "You are open-minded, Thai girls are willing to do anything to get this, and there will be more exciting things for you to see later." As he said, he asked me to hold the woman's arms to prevent him from struggling for a while. He sat on the other side of the tattoo table and pulled the woman's legs apart. The weather in Thailand is very hot, but what makes me hotter is the woman's body and the ambiguous atmosphere now. The high temperature made her body scald, and tiny beads of sweat oozed out of her fair skin. I pressed her two delicate arms, and I felt a smooth and tender feeling under my palms. But because the skin of a woman's private parts is too sensitive, every time my cousin gave her a needle, his body would tremble slightly, and he would make a broken gasp. I couldn't help but lower my head and stare at her face, which was slightly red due to the pain. A fragrance came to my face, which was a strong smell of Bulgarian rose. Staring at his sweat, I knew without looking that I had raised my flag to half-mast. The woman seemed to have noticed it too. She gently rubbed my arm with her nails, and with a hint of seduction, she drew a long, burning line. "You are handsome, more handsome than all the Chinese I have ever seen," he said in Thai. My face immediately turned red. At this time, my cousin had already tattooed the white knot. He pulled the woman's feet apart, and the whole person bullied her and sat between his legs. Do you know what the price of tattooing the white knot is? I was stunned and realized that what my cousin just said was even more exciting. The woman nodded. This time my cousin didn't let me stay any longer, but gave me a look and asked me to stay in the compartment. Before I closed the door, I heard a high-pitched female voice. For some reason, I didn't close the door completely, but secretly looked out through the crack of the door. My cousin lay on the woman and muttered something, like a spell. The woman seemed to be possessed by evil spirits. Her snow-white body was stained with an attractive blush, she kept trembling and whimpering, and her limbs climbed up my cousin's neck and waist like a spirit snake. I pressed against the door, and my blood boiled. What I didn't expect was that my cousin, who was already in his 30s and approaching 40, was so strong that he walked down the tattoo table calmly until the woman collapsed on the tattoo table, motionless. Afterwards, my cousin came to the compartment to find me, smiled sideways, and said, "How about being a tattoo artist in Thailand? Stay with me and wait for you to become a master. You can have as many women as you want." I was in Thailand and China. My cousin Wang Kun came to Thailand a long time ago. He made a fortune last year. He returned home not long ago and brought me to Thailand. I asked my cousin, "Are all tattoo artists in Thailand so sexy?" My cousin shook his head mysteriously. How could it be possible? The woman had the most evil Bailai tattooed. My cousin said that Bailai is a tattoo on the female private parts, which can enhance the sexual charm of women and the sexual stimulation of men. For a formal Bailai, you have to ask Azan or even Luang Po to do it. The price is frighteningly high and the requirements are very strict. But we don't have so many rules for tattooing, and the price is much cheaper, so there are so many women coming one after another. But my cousin put his arm around my neck and said, "Tonight I will take you to see what it feels like to have a woman with a Bailai tattoo." I promise you that you will never forget it after trying it. At night, my cousin took me to a brightly lit club. He said it was the Pearl of Pattaya at midnight. I don't know what my cousin said to the club owner. He clapped his hands and a group of beautiful women in cool clothes rushed in. What surprised me was that among this group of women was the girl who had tattooed by Ligier in the shop during the day. As soon as he appeared, my eyes followed him involuntarily, and his pale pink body and his aroused look appeared in my mind. Seeing this, my cousin smiled and said, "I knew you were still thinking about him." He waved his hand and the girl immediately walked towards me. "You are so sharp-eyed." Her Chinese name is Xiao Shui. Although she has been in this business for a short time, she is very good at her job. I have already booked a room. You two can study by Ligier alone. My cousin patted my shoulder and left with his arms around me. Xiao Shui immediately came up with a smile. Her soft body pressed tightly against me and blew into my ear. "I knew you would come to me. I have been thinking about you." In the breath, the familiar Bulgarian rose scent on his body made me react unconsciously. "Do you want to see my by Ligier?" When we got to the room, Xiao Shui slowly lifted her skirt and pressed forward to me. Which man could bear this? I picked him up and threw him onto the huge bed behind me. Xiao Shui laughed sweetly. Although he didn't speak Chinese very well, he was very enthusiastic. He took my hand and led me to explore. "My Bai Ligier is here, and he longs for you." At this moment, I was nervous and curious with a hint of excitement. But before I could see it, the door of the box was suddenly knocked open with a bang. "Bai Ligier, I want Bai Ligier's woman, I have plenty of money." A pale and skinny man rushed in like crazy, and the security guards couldn't stop him. Bai Ligier's eyes went straight when he saw Xiao Shui's private parts, and he immediately pounced on her, not caring that I was still in the box. The person in charge of the club was very embarrassed and apologized to me repeatedly, saying that he wanted to change a woman for me. But I was still a little frightened and quickly fled from the box. This is the effect of Bai Ligier. That man is too crazy, just like a demon. I don't want to become that ghost. By the way, my cousin has found 2 women, nothing will happen, right? As soon as I arrived at my cousin's door, I saw him arguing with a very beautiful woman in Thai. The woman seemed to be a Thai European mixed race, much whiter than the average Thai, her whole body seemed to be glowing, her figure was also very hot, she looked at most in her 20s, very beautiful. He grabbed my cousin's hair and scolded him for being a heartless man, while driving away the 2 women in my cousin's room. When my cousin saw me, he was like seeing a savior, and hurriedly explained that those 2 women were not found by me, I just brought my cousin to see the world. He pushed me in front of the woman, "This is my cousin Jiang Hao." "Ah Hao, call sister-in-law quickly." I didn't expect that the first time I met my sister-in-law, it would be in such an awkward situation. My sister-in-law is Shani, also a tattoo artist, she is very beautiful, to be honest, even Xiao Shui is a little worse than Shani. Sister-in-law, I was so nervous that I couldn't speak coherently, and at the same time I despised my cousin in my heart. My sister-in-law is so beautiful, why is he still cheating outside? My sister-in-law was very generous. She wiped the tears from her eyes and said, "Ah Hao, don't learn bad things from your cousin. You can't touch a woman with a white tattoo, otherwise you will be in big trouble." But my cousin didn't care, and scolded my sister-in-law for being ignorant and embarrassing him. After this incident, my cousin finally behaved for a while and taught me a lot of things. After I learned the basics and tried some ordinary tattoos, my cousin found an excuse and disappeared again. That day, I was busy with my sister-in-law all day. I finally waited until the evening to have some free time. My sister-in-law seemed to notice something and called my cousin. He looked very ugly and couldn't help cursing a few words during the call. He was so angry that he threw the phone directly. I don't need to think about it. I know that my cousin must be messing around outside again. How, you have been learning white tattoos for so long, can you smell it? My sister-in-law's eyes were red, like a wronged and docile little rabbit. My cousin did teach me the basic skills, but I haven't tried it myself yet. Your skills are enough. The byline knot smells simple, but the ingredients are special. The most important thing is that the last step requires the blessing of a man to succeed. I suddenly remembered the opening ceremony of my cousin for the Bailai stone of Shashushuan. My sister-in-law hummed, "Come, give me a tattoo." My face turned red instantly. "Sister-in-law, what did you say?" My sister-in-law took a deep breath and lowered her head sadly. If she didn't find a way to win back the bastard's heart, he would die on another woman sooner or later. How, only you can help me. Seeing that I was still trying to refuse, she directly pulled my hand. My sister-in-law's hands were very soft, and her 5 fingers were as slender as jade onions. I was held by her warm little hand, and immediately felt like I was electrocuted, and my body was half numb. While I was stunned, my sister-in-law pulled me into the workshop. He lay on the tattoo table and spread his snow-white thighs. How, I'll leave my sister-in-law to you. I was so nervous that I didn't dare to look at it anymore. I begged my sister-in-law in a low voice, "I really can't do it, or I'll call my cousin again." My sister-in-law's face was stern. "No need to beat him. Let him die outside." His attitude was very firm, and he could not be persuaded at all. But I was completely forced to do it now. I didn't dare to look directly at my sister-in-law. The sister-in-law with a confused mind said, "I'll prepare for a while." Taking this opportunity, I secretly called my cousin. I guess he was busy and couldn't get through. My sister-in-law's soft voice rang in my ears. "How about it, are you ready?" I really couldn't refuse, so I nodded with gritted teeth. "It's almost done," my sister-in-law urged me again, "then you should start quickly." Under my sister-in-law's repeated urging, I found the materials that my cousin specially used to tattoo Bailai Jie, but when I looked at my sister-in-law, I instantly felt my cheeks burning and my heart was in a mess. "How about waiting for my brother to come back and let him smell it for you?" My sister-in-law's face became even uglier. How, even you won't help me? You men are really the same. Do you also think it's normal for your brother to find other women outside? I am too narrow-minded. As he spoke, his eyes became red again, and he was about to cry. I felt very upset. "Sister-in-law, I didn't mean that. I was just a little worried that your Bailai Jie was too weird." Sister-in-law choked up and grabbed my hand. "Don't worry, I'm ready. In order to win back Wang Kun, I'm willing to bear any price." I sighed secretly, "Cousin, what a sin this is. If this was my wife, I would never make a fool of myself, and would definitely live with her steadily." After hesitating for a long time, I finally nodded and agreed, "Sister-in-law, I promise you, you lie down first and don't move around. It may hurt a little later, but you must bear it. In fact, it is not difficult to tattoo a Bailai knot. After all, the pattern is not big and the shape is also simple." I heard from my cousin that the most troublesome thing is the materials. Only with special materials can a truly effective Bailai knot be tattooed. I gritted my teeth tightly, trying not to let myself think too much. I kept telling myself that this was just an ordinary tattoo. The person lying in front of me was not my sister-in-law, but a fake model for practice. Just as I picked up the needle and prepared to start, there was a burst of sirens getting closer and closer, followed by a burst of rapid banging on the door and shouting. I was a little panicked and my hands were shaking. What was going on? Why are the police here? Is this thing illegal? What if the police suddenly broke in and saw this scene? How should I explain it, and how should I explain it to my cousin? I subconsciously glanced at my sister-in-law, who was very calm. "You continue, It's just a normal inspection outside, no one opened the door, and they will leave soon. Maybe my sister-in-law was right. After a burst of rapid banging on the door, the noise outside subsided a lot. I tried to calm down and continue to insert the needle, but just as I was about to insert the needle, boom, the door of the temple was forced open. The group of police rushed in aggressively, mumbling something, and before I could come to my senses, they pressed me to the ground. Looking at my cousin's wife again, she wrapped a towel around herself and cried, as if she was arguing with the police, or complaining, "What are you doing? Don't mess around, we are just doing normal tattoos, nothing illegal or foul. Stop it now." I struggled desperately. Soon, a dark-skinned and short policeman approached. "Jiang Hao, right? Wang Kun is your cousin." My eyes lit up and I nodded repeatedly. I finally met a policeman who knew Chinese. The police frowned and said, "Your cousin is a major criminal suspect and died during our arrest. Come back with us to identify the body and explain your crime by the way." My mind buzzed and went blank in an instant. My crime? What crime did I commit? I have never done anything in Thailand except tattooing people. What crime could I have committed? And my cousin's death was weird no matter how you look at it. Before leaving, my cousin smiled and told me that he would take me out to have fun next time. How could he die inexplicably? "I will sue you. Even if my cousin is illegal to find a woman, you can't kill him." I yelled in anger, and the policeman looked very strange. We were not to blame for this, but he was the only one to blame. The policeman explained to me that the police originally intended to arrest my cousin, but when they arrived, they only saw my cousin's body and several terrified women. I was stunned and confused. I looked at my sister-in-law, who was crying and losing control of her emotions. I suddenly seemed to understand why he reacted so strongly. Who could accept such a thing calmly? The police calmed my sister-in-law's emotions while communicating with me and asked me to identify the body. Through chatting, I learned that the policeman who could speak Chinese was called Dusan, who was of Chinese descent. He asked me some questions, especially about Bai Lai Jie. Thinking of Bai Lai Jie's weird effect, I felt a little guilty and didn't dare to say much. To be honest, I still had a little bit of luck at this moment. What if the police made a mistake? My cousin is in good health, it is impossible for him to die suddenly so easily. Dusan sighed, "I can understand your feelings, but the incident has already happened, and your cousin's situation is special, involving Bai Lai Jie. Recently, more than 1 or 2 people have died suddenly because of this kind of thing. We need you to tell us everything you know." Dusan took me to the morgue, and when I saw my cousin's body with my own eyes, my nose was sore and tears fell from my eyes. He said he would take me abroad to make a lot of money and return home in glory in the future. Why did he leave first? How can I explain this to my family when I go back? My sister-in-law's emotions collapsed even more, and she cursed at my cousin's body. Although I couldn't understand what she was cursing, if she didn't have enough feelings for my cousin, how could she have such a big reaction? I tried to hold back my grief and comfort my sister-in-law, but my sister-in-law avoided me in panic, as if she had been electrocuted. When he looked at me, it was completely like looking at a stranger, or even an enemy. I felt sad. This is what it means when people leave and tea gets cold. My cousin's body hasn't even cooled down yet, but he wants to distance himself from me and identify the body. My sister-in-law left me quickly, but was kept behind to be interrogated by Dusan. "Jiang Hao, what do you know about Bai Lai Jie? It is related to the death of your cousin and involves many victims. I advise you not to take chances and tell the truth about what you know." I was uneasy and didn't dare to say more. Dusan frowned and said, "Don't think I am scaring you. According to our current investigation, all the evidence points to Bai Lai Jie, who was tattooed in your tattoo shop. Now, including your cousin, several lives have been involved. Once convicted, it is very likely to be sentenced to death. Hearing this, I finally panicked. Isn't the Bays festival a special blessing in Thailand? Why does it involve human life? I was stunned. Dusan looked at me meaningfully. It seems that you really know a lot. I shook my head violently. I only knew that thing could attract peach blossoms, make the couple's life more harmonious, the relationship more intimate, and everything would go smoothly. However, according to the rules, only high monks can do this kind of blessing, and those high monks are not interested in women, so they usually refuse. My cousin also took advantage of this loophole, and became rich by relying on Bailajie. Dusan frowned tightly. What kind of people usually go to your tattoo shop? They are all young girls in their 20s who work in the sex industry. I lowered my head and said, but we are all ordinary people. The tattoos are also ordinary tattoos, which have absolutely no effect. They are just a kind of psychological comfort. Before I finished speaking, Dusan's face suddenly became serious. Recently, many men who have been in contact with those prostitutes have had problems. They look very healthy on the surface, but they don't know when they will die suddenly. Even if a detailed autopsy report is done, no problem can be found. According to the information we have now, almost all the deaths are related to Bailajie. And the Bailajie on those women came from your tattoo shop. I stammered, but this has nothing to do with me. I am just a worker, and have never smelled Bailajie on anyone. Dusan snorted coldly. Oh, then what were you doing when we conducted a surprise inspection? When they rushed in, I was being pulled by my sister-in-law to tattoo Bailajie on him. To be honest, those women who had Bailajie in your shop were all very strange. The effect of Bailajie on them was even better than the regular blessing. Now many people have died inexplicably, your cousin is also dead, and we also ran into you and your cousin's wife. Who do you think we should suspect? After hearing what Dusan said, my brain froze instantly. Could it be that they suspected me? Dusan frowned slightly. If I guessed correctly, they didn't have ordinary tattoos on their bodies, but were under a love spell. If you are under a love spell, you will be controlled, gradually lose your mind, and be at the mercy of others. Thinking carefully, the crazy man in the club at the time was in line with the performance of being under a love spell. There are also many similar cases among the dead people that Dusan has contacted recently. They are already trying to find the real culprit behind the scenes, and at the same time trying to ask a certain Luang Po, that is, a real monk. As long as Luang Po takes action, the caster will be backfired and even die suddenly. My scalp numbed when I heard it, and I felt more and more that I was in trouble. This is impossible. My cousin doesn't understand the situation at all. He should also be a victim. As long as he has worked in a tattoo shop for so long, he is the man of the deceased. Who is their real murderer? A terrible guess suddenly popped up in my mind. Dusan noticed that something was wrong with me, grabbed me and said, "What else do you know?" I was already scared at this time, and the sound of any fragrance made me hairy all over. Although I don't want to believe that it was my sister-in-law who did it, after thinking about it carefully, she is definitely the most suspicious. Now that my cousin is dead, I am wandering overseas alone, helpless and helpless. What else can I do except asking the police for help? After a brief struggle, I gritted my teeth and said, "Officer Du, those weird Bailajie tattoos were indeed done by my cousin. I am just like my cousin. I don't know anything about it. I am just an ordinary tattoo artist. Moreover, I have just started tattooing and have only been in Thailand for a short time. This matter has nothing to do with me. I think the problem is likely to be with my sister-in-law. There is a reason for my guess. Although those Bailajie tattoos were done by my brother before, the purchase of various raw materials was handled by my sister-in-law. My cousin once said that the key to whether Bailajie is effective is not the technique, but the raw materials. If before the police came to arrest people, I suddenly felt that my new technique was in vain, how could there be such a coincidence in this world? I even suspected that when he called my brother, he already knew that my brother was in trouble, and then deliberately deceived me as a scapegoat. After listening to my explanation, his expression was very serious. If this is the case, this Sha Ni is very dangerous, and even Wang Ji's death is also strange. But this is also a good thing. If it is confirmed that he is the caster, the problem will be easily solved. Du San told me that big figures like Long Po will not take action easily, but the police station can still invite Arzan. As long as the target is locked, an Arzan can also be asked to take action, and the other party can also be cracked and backfired. Soon, the police station found an Arzan who was willing to take action. According to the clues I provided, he first checked the body of my cousin, especially the thorn suit on his body mentioned by my cousin. This is not a servo, but another kind of head. If I am not mistaken, during the Wenbei festival, in addition to using the special ingredients provided by Shani, he will also mix a drop of his own blood. On the surface, this has no effect on his body, but he will continue to be backfired, especially his weak will and indulging in those women who have been under the evil spell, which will make the backfire come faster. In short, my cousin has been under the head of the magic for a long time. Even if he doesn't go out and mess around, he won't live for too long. It's just that his unrestrained behavior. Let this day come early. I didn't expect my sister-in-law to be such a cruel woman. Du San said that no matter whether it is by Lai Jie or Qing, they will need the blessing of men to be useful at the end. So I am very likely the backup that Shani prepared for herself. Du San said very seriously, there are only two ways in front of you now, either become a suspect, as the only male tattoo artist in the case, or let the perpetrator be punished and clear your suspicion. I believe you are innocent, but we need evidence, and you should not have any illusions. Shani will not let you go. Only by putting all the sins on you can he completely clear his suspicion. My heart trembled, and my sister-in-law's face as delicate as a little white rabbit appeared in my mind. What should I do? The next day, I returned to the tattoo shop trembling, and my sister-in-law was surprised. You came back so soon. Did the police make things difficult for you? I was full of fear of him at this moment. The book was right. Sure enough, the more beautiful a woman is, the more dangerous she is. Under her fairy-like beauty, she actually has a vicious heart. I guess in his opinion, I should be treated as a suspect and tortured, or even directly convicted. Sister-in-law, the police said there was nothing wrong with me. I had been in Thailand for too short a time, and should have nothing to do with my cousin's death. They asked me a lot about Bai Lai Jie, and I said I didn't know. Everything was done by my cousin. Sister-in-law still frowned. Really, you didn't lie to me. I took a deep breath. Why would I lie to you? But sister-in-law, I think this Bai Lai Jie is too weird, otherwise we won't do it in the future. Ordinary tattoos can also make money. Don't worry, my skills are pretty good now, and I can support you by doing ordinary tattoos in the future. I gritted my teeth and said these words according to what Du San told me. Sister-in-law looked weird and stared at me carefully for a long time. I was afraid of being exposed, so I just hugged him. Sister-in-law, I actually fell in love with you the first time I saw you. Because of my cousin, I didn't dare to tell you before. Now that my cousin is gone, let me take care of you in the future. Don't worry, I promise you, I will never mess around like my cousin. Du San reminded me that there is no need to hide my fear and nervousness. The more I hide, the easier it is to be exposed. Passive defense is not as good as active attack. I want to get rid of the crime. I must catch Shani today. At first Shani was still a little resistant and struggled desperately, but soon he was a little resigned to his fate, leaned his whole soft body in my arms, and burst into tears. Ahau, in fact, I also think that it is enough to do tattoos steadily, but your cousin has always wanted to make a lot of money. I also advised him not to touch those women, but he didn't listen to me at all. I have always been worried that something would happen to him, but I didn't expect that this day would come. Shani was not polite and put all the responsibility on my cousin, and then cried to me that now that my cousin is gone, he is also very scared in his heart. He doesn't know how to live as a weak woman in the future. Fortunately, I still have me. I pretended to be calm and tried to comfort him. My sister-in-law also repeatedly assured him that I am different from my cousin, and I will treat him well in the future. But at this time, one of my hands was clenched tightly. Sister-in-law didn't know that I had a blessing tattooed on the palm of my hand, and it was tattooed by Azan himself. Dusan and the Azan promised me that this blessing could protect my safety and avoid sister-in-law's black magic at a critical moment. Not long after, sister-in-law prepared another big meal for me. Ahau, you eat first, I'll ask someone how to deal with your cousin's funeral. As soon as sister-in-law left, a message came to my mobile phone, only waiting for the east wind. Seeing this message, I breathed a sigh of relief. This is a code sent by Dusan. In order for me to collect evidence smoothly, the police station has already heard that the real culprit behind the case is my cousin Wang Kun. Just now, sister-in-law kept saying that she would ask someone how to deal with my cousin's funeral, but in fact she went to get information. He still didn't trust me. I don't believe that the police will let me go so easily. With the information from the police station to mislead, Dusan and I can carry out the next plan smoothly. Sure enough, when my sister-in-law came back again, her expression was much more relaxed. I discussed with him that we would leave Bhatia together and start a new life in a new place. My sister-in-law agreed, but her face was a little absent-minded. Until the evening, my sister-in-law suddenly told me a piece of news with a serious face. What? Didn't we agree not to touch Bailiji again? No, I won't do it, this thing is too dangerous. My sister-in-law told me that there will be another distinguished guest to ask Bailiji tonight, but I was very determined and refused decisively. There was no way, I could only refuse, because I was not sure if this was his new round of temptation to me. Once I nodded and agreed easily, it would definitely arouse his suspicion and fail. My sister-in-law looked serious. Ahau, I don't want you to get involved in these things, but this distinguished guest is very important, we have no ability to refuse, if you don't do it. I'm afraid we won't be able to leave Thailand alive. At this point, he even cried, your cousin's case is also involved with the other party, and if we anger them, we may be implicated and unable to get out. I sneered secretly. If I hadn't known the truth long ago, I might have been deceived by him. In fact, this time someone came to tattoo Bailiji, which was a trap set by Dushan Shi. The purpose was to lure Shani to take action. When tattooing Bailiji, Azan took action to break his magic and make him suffer backlash. He couldn't kill you. This kind of magic master is very vigilant. It is difficult to succeed in using other methods to cast a spell on him. Once the snake is alerted, the consequences will be disastrous. The safest way is to give him a fatal blow while he is casting a spell at the critical moment of tattooing, and this is my only hope to get rid of suspicion. Shani persuaded me, Ahau, I have promised you that I will never lie to you if I leave with you, but we want to leave, and we must do it this time. I took a deep breath and struggled for a long time. Okay, I will do it this time. After my sister-in-law does it this time, we will leave Pattaya and go somewhere else. We can't have any involvement with those people. They are too dangerous. Has my brother been coerced before? Shah, you really know how to climb up. Hey, I didn't know about your brother at first, and it was too late when I wanted to persuade him to turn back. Wang Kun, he always thinks that if you don't make money, you are a bastard. When Bailiji does make more money, and he is getting deeper and deeper in order to make a fortune. I have long advised him not to touch those women, it is too harmful to his body, but those women, in order to be with Wen Bailai, tried every means to seduce him and meet his various needs. The corner of my mouth twitched. Is he sure he is not tempting me with money and women? He can make a lot of money, and there are countless beautiful women paying for him. Which man cannot be tempted? If I hadn't known the truth long ago, I guess my attitude would have wavered. Sawadika, hello, Boss Jiang. A woman walked into the store. This time, Wen Beileja is also a big beauty with a very hot body. You can speak Chinese, you are also Chinese. I pretended to be very surprised and exchanged secret codes with the beauty. The beauty smiled and winked at me. Many Chinese wealthy businessmen and tourists here learn Chinese to get more business. If Boss Jiang is interested, I can serve you for free in the future. I shuddered and shook my head repeatedly. The code matched. He was indeed the person arranged by Dusan. Let's forget about it. I'm not that kind of person. Well, let's get started. I secretly glanced at Shani. He didn't say much. He remained silent and helped me on the side. But I felt that he was more like monitoring me. I took her over with great psychological pressure. She prepared equipment and materials for me and prepared to start tattooing. The beautiful woman lying on the bed suddenly snatched the special pigment from my hand. Yes, this is it. Don't move, you are surrounded. As he said that, he actually took out a gun from somewhere. I was stunned and raised my hands quickly. My sister-in-law's face suddenly became a little ferocious. She grabbed me, used me as a shield, and pushed me forward. The next moment, Shani turned her head and escaped from the secret door. It was also the first time I knew that there was a secret door in the tattoo shop's workshop. I was a little panicked. What's going on? It was agreed to crack the love spell. Why did this woman suddenly take out a gun? A gunshot interrupted my wild thoughts. I have lived in China for many years and have never seen such a scene. I was shaking all over and dared not move. I saw Dusan rushing into the secret door with a group of policemen. The shot just now did not directly kill Shani, but it also seriously injured him and was quickly controlled by the police. Shani stared at me with resentment in her eyes. Bastard, you dare to lie to me. You bastard, I curse you to die a bad death. I quickly came to my senses, and a chill swept through my body from my back. Officer Du, you can't cheat me, didn't we agree to break his head-falling technique? Where is the head-falling technique in this world? Officer Du rolled his eyes at me. To put it bluntly, the so-called head-falling techniques in the past were all a means of poisoning. Dusan picked up the special pigment of the tattoo. Did you see this? This is a new type of psychedelic technique, which is very addictive. Through the tattoo method and combined with another drug, the drug effect can be stimulated. This is also the real reason why many men have no resistance and gradually become addicted. As for your cousin, he died suddenly due to excessive indulgence and the effects of the drug. I was completely stunned. It turned out that the police had been investigating this case for a long time. They finally found my cousin, but my cousin died without any evidence. All clues were completely cut off. I could arrest you, my accomplice, and close the case directly, but I couldn't get over the hurdle of conscience. I also wanted to catch the real murderer. Because he was afraid that I would not cooperate, and even more afraid that I would not be able to resist the temptation of money like my cousin, and become an accomplice, he used the outrageous excuse of love spell to scare me. Think about your cousin's fate, you should be thankful now. Speaking of my cousin, I fell silent. Dusan told me that my cousin might not know at first. He naively thought that it was his charm that made Shani, a beautiful woman, follow him willingly, but when he started doing those things, he could no longer get away. It is difficult to find out the problem with the tattoo drug, but the other drug used in conjunction is the key, and it is also the real means for Shani to make huge profits. In this regard, my cousin is an accomplice, and he cannot escape punishment even if he flees back to China. This is also the reason why Shani used money to lure me and showed up to make me start tattooing. Once I started, I became the next cousin, and there was no turning back or getting out of it. Next, with the help of Wat Ari, I dealt with these things and closed my cousin's store. I returned to China with his ashes. This experience made me understand a truth: there is no free lunch in the world. Compared to making a lot of money easily like my cousin, marrying a beautiful wife, and living a carefree life every day, I, a timid person, would rather stay in China and live my own life steadily. At the same time, I am extremely fortunate that I live in a country far away from that kind of danger. Well, that's all for today's sharing. If you like my show, please like, forward, and subscribe.